Hi, everybody, and welcome to our Money Control Live. I'm Sumaira Abidi, and today we are going to be talking about what's happening at Axis Mutual Fund. There have been some concerns. Two fund managers have been suspended temporarily following an investigation, and one of them, in fact, is the dealer. And this follows a story that Money Control had done last week in Insider, where we had information that there was an investigation underway on certain executives of Axis Mutual Fund regarding some wrongdoings. The information that we had suggested that there was some front running that was taking place during the time that work from home was ongoing because of COVID restrictions. Naturally, as some of the unit holders are worried about what this means for them, how should they read these developments? What exactly are these developments? So we have two experts joining in, Feroze, Azeez, Deputy CEO of Anand Wealth, and Manoj, Nagpal, founder and CEO of Outlook Asia Capital. And Manoj, of course, is also a money control contributor. So thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining in. Manoj, let me begin with you. Because you yourself have also been speaking to a lot of people about, what's going on. What is it that you have gathered, and what is your understanding of, how serious this issue is? Manoj, we're not able to hear you. I think you may be on mute.
Yes, Sumaira. Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, these rumors emerged around 10, 15 days back and have been gathering ground, wherein now the AMC Axis Mutual Fund has clarified that they have been doing an internal investigation on a suo motu basis. That is, they themselves have initiated this investigation based on their own internal audit findings. They have also appointed now two forensic auditors to go through this in detail. And there is an interim kind of a feedback that seems to have come from the auditors saying that there is some kind of process violations that have been identified, based on which two fund managers who are also, one of them was also the chief dealer, has been suspended, and the final report yet is supposed to come in the next 4 to 5 weeks. In essence, it seems to be that some of these people, or the findings that seem to be there, seem to be a little bit of a mix of both process violations. That is, the mid office did not function as should have been. What is the impact of that in terms of whether it's front running, whether it is an impact on portfolios, whether does it mean there is a kind of a transgressions which have helped brokers and not investors, is something that is still very unclear at this point of time. But yes, it is focused on the equity schemes of mutual Axis Mutual Fund. And definitely, I think the first step that the mutual fund has confirmed is that they seem to be seeing some transgressions at this point of time.
Okay. This is, I must clarify once again that this is as of now, source-based information that perhaps the case was of price rigging or, etc. What is the exact transgression is not yet known. Like Manoj said, that there is an investigation that is ongoing. I've also spoken with my sources in Access who say that, SEBI is being kept apprised, but as of now, there is no SEBI investigation which is underway. Feroze, you have been invested in Axis funds in the past. Would something like this worry you? To say that maybe the transgression was something small, or if it is as serious as price rigging or front running, how worried would you be as an investor?
See, as an investor, I would, and an advisor or a distributor, I'd be worried for sure. But in this particular case, my worry came down once I looked at the portfolios in question, because the underlying constituents, which are very, very important in a situation like this, are very liquid. The top 10 holdings of these 7 funds in question are reasonably liquid. They are actually as liquid as they could get. These are large stocks. If this was the kind of an outcome to a small cap fund with 5,000 crores, 7,000 crores AUM, I would be really worried for the run on the fund. And if that happens, then there could actually be a future impact as well. When you're speaking of front running, of course, like you said, this source-based information, you're speaking of a price impact on the NAV. But when you're speaking of front running, buying and selling at unfavorable prices to the fund, that is already factored in the NAV. But these funds had instruments which were illiquid, then there would be future impact as well. That would be very scary because future impacts are in the unknown territory. And what would be the impact is where only time can tell. So coming back, am I worried in a situation like this? Generally, I'm worried. Then worried implies that you should be able to analyze the situation and take actions appropriate to that specific situation. In this situation, I'm not worried now after having done the homework of any future NAV impact, which could be substantive, doesn't exist into my mind.
So you're saying you would not redeem your holdings if you had some now?
Yes, Sumaira. See, what happens is I'm not concluding that I will never redeem. But do I need to redeem today, or can I wait till the investigation is over? If today there would be any safe fund, it would be Axis because they are under investigation. So if I'm worried about front running, this is one place where front running might not be happening as we speak because they're already in question. So point one, can we conclude that you have to stay put for the next 3 years, 5 years? No, you can't conclude today. Can you also conclude that you have to exit tomorrow or today and get the NAV? The answer is no. You can wait till investigation very peacefully without being too worried because the underlying is liquid. And if underlying was illiquid, then you could have had a 2% impact, 5% impact, even 10% impact. So Mera, you've been one of the first people to highlight one or two such instances of liquidity crisis in the underlying. And commendable job has been done. And that has been preempted for several investors 20 days before the actual crisis happens. So that's not an identical situation we are in today.
No, naturally, and also, these are equity funds, so redemption isn't that big an issue unless there are some counters which are illiquid themselves. Manoj, a lot of people have also written to us on social media handles asking exactly what do we mean when we say front running or price rigging, or even like some people say that there are just minor transgressions. What do these transgressions actually mean, and how serious are they if when viewed from the eyes of a unit holder?
Yes. So Sumaira, as we see, whenever there is, management of other people's money in whichever industry, whether it's the mutual fund industry, insurance industry, or professional fund management through PMS, whenever there are large pools of money involved, of especially managing other people's money, which puts a lot of fiduciary responsibility. Globally, it has been seen that there are certain individuals who try to take benefit of this. Now, with Axis Mutual Fund specifically, what has been happening is that in the last 2-3 years, they have seen a lot of huge positive inflows, net inflows into their schemes. That's number one. Number two is that, because of the COVID-induced scenario, most of the people were working from home. When you're working in office, the protocols are, different. When you're working from home, the entire industry has been grappling with, what are the new protocols that is there. And thirdly, now coming to specifically what could go wrong in such a scenario when there is a lot of inflows, a large assets under management, and strong inflows coming in specifically into the small cap and mid cap stocks. There could be a greed driven factor which derails a person's integrity into starting to think that when there is a large order coming in, one can benefit because of the information coming. We need to understand what is the structure of the fund management industry in such a case. There is the fund manager, there are research analysts, and there are the dealers. Usually the research analysts give recommendations to the fund manager. The fund manager may or may not decide to buy them, decide on the weightages, and pass on that information to the dealer to execute. So clearly there is a porous information flow which happens, and there is a possibility when there are large amounts of money involved, and especially as I said in the mid cap and small cap, there is a price arbitrage that can exist for a dealer to take advantage of. Now that is what has been said, is rumored that has happened here, that the dealers had information earlier before than expected. They are operating from their residence with lesser protocols, having access to multiple different lines of communication with brokers, and there are certain people who took advantage. Now whether it has actually happened, what is the extent of damage, what is the quantum of money involved, is something that which the investigations will tell us.
And I don't mean to go into speculative terrain over here, but Feroze, just because people are trying to understand what the entire case could be. there are now SEBI rules saying that, the CEO has to take responsibility for whatever it may be, a transgression, minor or major as may be. Um, could this fallout impact more people than just the two fund managers who have been suspended? I mean, could the CEO come under question for having, for having been the leader of the team?
Yes, Sumaira, as the leader, you are responsible for certain degree of actions. One is to have a process. The other is to get the process followed through the organization. Of course, as we've seen in several instances, the buck stops at the leadership. So there could be fallouts to the leadership, but I personally think it is very premature to look at, because once you know the case and if there was any wrongdoing, what was the extent of wrongdoing, was it a process lapse, was it an intent lapse, all that I think is something which today we can't comment. But if there is some process lapse, are leaders held accountable? They are held accountable. I'll leave it at that. Second, I feel very, very confident as well that something like this in the mutual fund industry is being introspected, investigated, because it's like looking for a needle in a haystack, right? If you look at other industries where you go into real estate, go into crypto, go into gold, there is no buddy whom you could so pointedly ask question to. And here you have a regulator, and out of the millions of transactions, a few transactions are being analyzed, which itself gives me confidence that this is by far the most regulated platform in the country for a common investment scheme. So it inspires confidence as well at the same time. From the sadness you get that such scams being investigated brings in certain degree of skepticism. But on the positive side, the silver lining in the dark cloud is there is an investigation in the first place. There are so many industries where this could get ignored. Now today, like Manoj was saying, there are protocols. In a dealing room, you are not supposed to take a mobile phone. But is that true for a crypto trader? May not be if there is somebody who's managing somebody else's crypto money. So I'm very happy that the regulation is strong and is at it.
No, fair enough. I mean, mutual fund, the Indian mutual fund industry, at least for that matter, is one of the most tightly regulated and transparent industries. But Manoj, having said that, could there be far-reaching implications industry-wide? Should there be some sort of investigation conduct, or not investigation, maybe an audit conducted across AMCs? Because after all, the same opportunities of work from home were available to pretty much everybody.
Yes, so there are two parts to it. I always believe that trustees are the first level regulator, and trustees need to intimate their investors whenever there is any significant development happening in the AMC. In this case, it seems there has been a twofold thing. One is that there has been an internal investigation which warranted a forensic audit, though it is suo moto, but it still warranted a forensic audit. After that, it seems there is a forensic audit and there are some interim findings which has led to the suspension of fund managers. But I think where the trustees have not really acted here is that they have not intimated the investors proactively. The AMC may have done the investigation proactively, but this is a very significant development wherein both the AMC believes, the forensic auditor believes, and these are obviously flows news information coming from the AMC itself, whereas the AMC itself has said they found cause that there should be an investigation themselves and from a forensic auditor. But that has not been communicated to investors proactively. I think that is definitely a big lapse, because this is a material development that investors should have been made aware by the trustees, not by the AMC. Okay, even till now, I don't think trustees have communicated to the investors, which I think is a big loophole within the current regulations, and it has to be addressed. Now, coming to whether it will spin off to other AMCs, I think there may not be a detailed investigation, but in my view, SEBI will definitely write to the other AMCs seeking have they done a similar kind of investigation, and are there any findings of process violations?
No, absolutely. And, even I feel that as of now, all AMCs should voluntarily take up the cudgels of doing an internal audit to see if, everything is in order, given the fiduciary nature of the industry. But as of now, this is all about that we have time for, but we will touch base with you, both of you again, as the story progresses. So thanks very much, Feroze and Manoj, for joining in. So that's the word as of now, that for now, maybe for investors, nothing much to worry about. Do look out for how the investigation progresses at Axis Mutual Funds. And for now, another 5-6 weeks is where the decision will be known to all of us. And like Feroze recommended, as of now, remain invested and see how things progress on that front. Thank you very much for watching. I hope we've been able to answer some of the questions that you have in your mind.